Judge fines Jasmine Crockett for wearing a cross, only to discover she's a legal genius. In the heart of Dallas, Texas, a dramatic courtroom showdown unfolded, captivating the attention of the entire nation. At the center of the controversy was Jasmine Crockett, a soft-spoken yet fiercely determined young woman. The events that transpired would test the limits of justice, challenge the biases of those in power, and ultimately reveal the remarkable talents of a legal genius. It began on a typical Monday morning, with Judge Jamison presiding over a packed courtroom. Amidst the hustle and bustle, Jasmine Crockett stood out. She was dressed impeccably in a crisp business suit, her hair neatly styled, and a small elegant cross pendant gleaming around her neck. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop a comment below and please like the video. Thank you. As the court proceedings commenced, Judge Jamison's gaze fell upon Jasmine. His eyes narrowed, and a hint of disdain crept onto his face. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the bailiff. "Bailiff, please approach Miss Crockett," Judge Jamison instructed, his voice firm but laced with a subtle condescension. The bailiff obediently made his way to Jasmine, who looked up from her notes with a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Your Honor, is there an issue?" Jasmine asked politely, her eyes locked onto Judge Jamison. "Indeed there is, Miss Crockett," Judge Jamison replied, his tone dripping with disapproval. "You are wearing a cross in my courtroom. This is a place of law, not a place of worship. I will not have any displays of religious affiliation here." Jasmine's eyes widened, and she took a deep breath before responding. "With all due respect, Your Honor, the First Amendment guarantees my right to free exercise of religion. Wearing this cross is a peaceful expression of my faith, and it in no way disrupts the proceedings of this court." Judge Jamison's face turned red with indignation. "I don't pay you to think, Miss Crockett," he snapped. "I pay you to follow the rules, and the rule is no religious symbols in my courtroom. You will remove that cross immediately, or I will hold you in contempt." The courtroom fell silent, with all eyes fixed on the unfolding drama. Jasmine's hands trembled slightly as she reached for the clasp of her necklace. However, instead of removing the cross, she paused and looked Judge Jamison straight in the eye. "Your Honor, I understand your position, but I must respectfully decline. As a citizen of the United States, my constitutional rights supersede any courtroom rules. I am willing to take this matter to the highest court in the land if necessary, to protect my right to free expression." The courtroom erupted into chaos, with some people gasping in shock and others murmuring in support of Jasmine. Judge Jamison slammed his gavel, demanding order. "Bailiff, take Miss Crockett into custody for contempt of court," he bellowed. As the bailiff approached Jasmine, she stood her ground, a fierce determination burning within her. It was then that something unexpected happened. From the back of the courtroom, a man stood up, his voice ringing out across the room. "Your Honor, if I may interrupt," he asked, his tone confident and authoritative. Judge Jamison's eyes narrowed. "Who are you, and what business do you have here?" he demanded. The man smiled wryly. "My name is Professor Thompson, and I am a constitutional law expert from Harvard University. I happened to be in the courtroom today, and I couldn't help but notice the, shall we say, creative interpretation of the First Amendment being employed here." The courtroom fell silent once more, with all eyes fixed on Professor Thompson. "Your Honor, I must inform you that Miss Crockett's argument is not only valid, but also supported by numerous Supreme Court precedents. The First Amendment guarantees her right to free exercise of religion, and wearing a cross in this courtroom does not disrupt the proceedings in any way." Judge Jamison's face turned beet red with rage. "How dare you question my authority?" he thundered. Professor Thompson remained calm, a hint of amusement dancing in his eyes. "Your Honor, I am not questioning your authority. I am simply upholding the Constitution of the United States. I suggest you reconsider your ruling and allow Miss Crockett to continue wearing her cross." The courtroom held its collective breath as Judge Jamison's face twisted in a mixture of anger and embarrassment. Finally, he slammed his gavel once more. "Case dismissed!" he barked, before storming out of the courtroom. As the courtroom erupted into chaos, Jasmine turned to Professor Thompson, a look of gratitude on her face. "Thank you, Professor," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Professor Thompson smiled, his eyes twinkling with pride. "You're welcome, Miss Crockett. But I must say I am impressed. You have a remarkable grasp of constitutional law. Tell me, what do you plan to do with?" Professor Thompson's question hung in the air, and Jasmine's eyes sparkled with a hint of mischief. "I plan to take on more cases like this, Professor," she replied, her voice filled with determination. "I want to defend people's rights and fight against injustice." Professor Thompson's face lit up with a warm smile. "Ah, a true champion of justice," he said, his eyes shining with admiration. "I think I can help you with that, Miss Crockett. Would you like to join me for a cup of coffee and discuss the possibilities?" Jasmine's heart skipped a beat as she nodded eagerly, and the two of them walked out of the courtroom, leaving the chaos behind. Over coffee, Professor Thompson revealed that he was not only a constitutional law expert, but also the founder of a prestigious law firm that specialized in civil rights cases. He offered Jasmine a job on the spot, and she accepted without hesitation. As they parted ways, Professor Thompson handed Jasmine a small business card. "Welcome to the team, Miss Crockett," he said, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Together, we're going to change the world." Jasmine's first few months at the law firm were a whirlwind of activity. She worked tirelessly alongside Professor Thompson and the rest of the team, taking on case after case and fighting for justice. Her reputation as a brilliant and fearless lawyer spread quickly, and soon she was in high demand. People from all over the country reached out to her for help, and she never turned anyone away. One day, Jasmine received a call from a woman named Sarah, who was desperate for help. Sarah's son had been wrongly accused of a crime and was facing a lengthy prison sentence. The police had coerced a confession from him, and the prosecution was pushing for a guilty verdict. Jasmine listened intently as Sarah poured out her heart, and when she finished, Jasmine promised to take on the case. "I'll do everything in my power to prove your son's innocence," she vowed. With the help of Professor Thompson and the rest of the team, Jasmine threw herself into the case. She spent countless hours poring over evidence, interviewing witnesses, and building a defense strategy. Finally, the day of the trial arrived, and Jasmine stood confidently in front of the judge, ready to present her case. The prosecution presented its evidence, but Jasmine was prepared. She tore apart their arguments, exposing inconsistencies and flaws in their logic. When it was her turn to present her case, Jasmine called witness after witness, each one corroborating her client's alibi and contradicting the prosecution's version of events. The jury was mesmerized by Jasmine's performance, and when she finished, they deliberated for only a few hours before returning a verdict of not guilty. Sarah's son was acquitted, and the two of them were reunited in a tearful hug. Jasmine smiled, feeling a sense of pride and satisfaction. As she walked out of the courtroom, Professor Thompson approached her, a broad smile on his face. "Jasmine, you're a true star," he said, his eyes shining with pride. "I knew from the moment I met you that you had the potential to be a great lawyer. You've exceeded all my expectations." Jasmine blushed, feeling a sense of gratitude towards Professor Thompson. "Thank you, Professor," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without your guidance and support." Professor Thompson's smile faltered for a moment, and he looked at Jasmine with a serious expression. "Jasmine, I have something important to tell you," he said, his voice low and solemn. "I've been watching you for a while now, and I believe you have the potential to be more than just a great lawyer. You have the potential to be a great leader." Jasmine's eyes widened in surprise, and she felt a shiver run down her spine. "What do you mean, Professor?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I mean that you have a unique gift, Jasmine," Professor Thompson replied, his eyes burning with intensity. "You have the ability to inspire people, to bring them together, and to fight for what's right. I believe you could be a powerful force for change in this world." Jasmine felt a surge of emotions, and she knew that Professor Thompson was right. She had always felt a sense of purpose, a sense that she was meant to do something more with her life. As she looked at Professor Thompson, She knew that she had found her calling. She was going to use her gifts to make a difference in the world, to fight for justice, and to inspire others to do the same. And with that, Jasmine's journey as a lawyer and a leader began. She went on to take on more cases, to fight for the rights of the marginalized and oppressed, and to inspire others to join her in the fight for justice. Years went by, and Jasmine became a renowned lawyer and a powerful voice for change.